Welcome to my latest YouTube video. My name is Ross Rosenberg. I'm the author of The Human Magnet Syndrome and the creator of the Codependency Cure. Today I'm going to talk to you about a subject that's going to make a few of you uncomfortable, especially if you identify being a codependent or what I call self-love deficient or an SLD. SLDs do not know how to express anger, disapproving. SLDs who come from a severely traumatic past, their childhood, in which they experience profound attachment trauma at the hands of a pathological narcissist parent and a codependent parent. But an SLD with that type of background learn early on that it is not safe to express your feelings or reactions for the potential of upsetting or creating a narcissistic injury in the narcissist parent. By creating such an injury, the child is subjected to horrific harm, whether it's deprivation, neglect, triangulation, abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse. There's so many things that the narcissist uses in order to punish their children and, of course, adults that they're connected to. If a child learns that there is more harm than value to gain from expressing your feelings or even showing them on your face, they learn early on to mute them, to disconnect from them, to disassociate from them, to become numb. And you probably might have noticed this if you ever were at a grocery store or you have a friend who is pathologically narcissistic, or perhaps your spouse. When they get angry and they have a narcissistic injury, they're going to punish someone. And if you're a child and you are defenseless, then you are going to be hurt. So what happens to these children? They learn to develop the capacity to stuff, numb, hide their feelings. But more severe than that, which is what this video is about, they learn to show the opposite. If they're angry, they seem unangry. If they're sad, they seem happy. If they're going to cry, and this is probably the most disturbing to see in an adult, they will contort their face to look as if they are smiling. So a SLD, of course, we know that SLDs come from an environment in which they were experienced attachment trauma, which created core shame, which created pathological loneliness, and eventually all the other conditions that would create their adult self-love deficit disorder. So these adult SLDs with this type of childhood, they always are going to smile when they're upset, or maybe just show no feeling, no expression. The affective expression of feelings, and affect is how we show our emotions and our feelings on our face and our body. And often affect is ruled unconsciously. In other words, you can say, oh yeah, I'm okay, and you'll have very stiff or not okay facial cues or body posture. But the affect of SLDs who are angry, SLD adults, do not match what they are saying. These are the folks that smile when they want to cry, that they say they're sorry reflexively when someone else made a mistake. Now think of this. Someone makes a mistake, someone bumps into them, someone is rude to them, and without thinking they say they're sorry. Now that might seem innocent and neutral, but if you know where that came from, it's heartbreaking. Every SLD I work with cannot manage the amount of times they apologize. In fact, in my therapy, I make a joke. And the joke is, I have a sorry jar for every, and actually it went from 25 cents, it's up to $1. Of course, it's a joke. For every sorry that they say, I say, oops, $1 goes into the sorry jar. And of course, by the way, I never take the money. But it exemplifies how they are not even conscious of how often they say sorry for when they did nothing. How often they take responsibility for something that they didn't do, they didn't plan. For example, with my clients, they will be late. And of course, they will profusely say they're sorry, and they will go way overboard. But if I am late and I say I'm sorry and I take responsibility for it, they will, and they're mad. And by the way, I'm the master at reading people's faces, and I can see that they're mad. They'll say, oh, it's okay, no problem. And I can absolutely see clearly with their facial muscles that they are annoyed. For good reason, because no one likes to be at an appointment with someone who is late. And if I would ask them, hey, are you mad? And they'll say, no, I'm okay. Don't worry about it. And they smile. And I said, please, it's okay. There's no consequences. I promise I will not take it personally. Are you mad at me being late? And by the way, I'm like late all the time. And every so often, I'll get an SLD client who'll say, yeah. And they start to say, and they just do one step at a time, just making sure it's safe. And a typical response is, my time is just as important as yours, or it's unprofessional, or it's rude. And I allow them to say that, and I don't interrupt them. And they really actually do it quite well once they let it out. And then I will say, I have two responses. The first response is, way to go. That was wonderful. I don't think you've expressed your anger or your disappointment in any way that has been better than this. And my second response normally is, I'm sorry. And I just say, I'm sorry, and I will be more aware of my time and better organize myself. Or in certain cases, I'll say, I'm sorry, but I had an emergency, or I'm sorry, I was sick. But I still hear what you're saying, and I understand. So the point that I gave you that example, that is one example of getting someone who is scared to death of expressing their feelings, thinking that something bad is going to happen, and allowing them to do that without any repercussions or consequences. The reason I'm making this video is not to tell or to educate SLDs that it's okay to express your feelings when you're around narcissists, because we all know that's dangerous, and that makes sense. But it's when you're around people who are safe, who do not represent harm, to understand that when you compulsively, reflexively, habitually apologize for something that's not yours, feel bad for something that, feel guilty for something that you didn't do, or even if you smile when you're upset, you laugh when you're talking about something painful. And I have to tell you, and it is really common with my SLD clients, when I help them talk about painful memories, whether they are in the recent past, with their spouse or children or friends or whomever, or in the remote past, in their childhood, and they start to smile and laugh when they talk about the trauma. Now, it might seem preposterous to you if you're not an SLD, or of course, if you don't work with SLDs. But if you're an SLD, you know what I'm talking about. And it's a habit that is really hard to break. So I'm telling you guys, I have a lot of empathy and compassion for this. And I know, for one thing, it doesn't work if I say to anyone, just stop it. That reminds me of a video I saw with Bob Newhart. But just stop laughing when you're upset. It's okay to cry. And then it takes a good amount of effort and technique and patience to help my client to actually express congruently the feelings that are really underneath the false facade, the false facial expressions, the false expressions of being happy, okay. So in conclusion, this video goes out to anyone who knows an SLD who cannot stop from saying sorry when they did nothing wrong, who smiles when they're upset, who laughs when they're talking about something that happened bad to them, who smiles, and sometimes with a big grin, if they want to cry. That's a tragedy. And that's a heartbreaking sign of some very bad trauma that happened to them. So if you know someone who's an SLD, and of course you're not a narcissist because you probably won't be listening to this video, but you're a friend, a good person, and you see that, encourage them to express how they really feel and let them know it's okay. You don't have to do what I do in therapy, but it wouldn't hurt. Before you defend yourself or you explain yourself or apologize, it's so important to first say, that was great and I really appreciate it. I really feel closer to you when you tell me what's going on. Even if I would be mad at myself, or maybe you, I feel closer to you. So please keep doing that. And then you can defend yourself in a way that is not hurtful, and you can apologize. But when the SLD says it's okay, don't worry about it, of course, you can count on that. Just smile and say, it's okay. It's okay for me to apologize, and it's okay for you to just say, okay. So in conclusion, if you're one of these people that are hurting so bad that you are afraid, terrified to really express your real feelings for fear that there will be consequences, or you're one of these people, SLDs, who don't even know that when they're upset they're smiling, don't even know or are aware of how often they apologize, or you fit that profile that I just spoke about, get some help. Now, I don't mean the type of help where a therapist, a friend, a coach, or someone is going to say, just break the habit. Just don't say thank you when you don't mean thank you. Don't say sorry when you don't mean sorry. And definitely don't smile when you're actually sad. Because what that can do is that can actually increase the shame that is responsible unconsciously for these inappropriate and unconsciously expressed expressions. Remember, SLDs all have a core sense of shame, which simply explained is feeling fundamentally flawed, broken, and unlovable. And the last thing we want to do is to shame them or to say something that has the impact of shaming them, even though we're trying to help them. So if you say, stop doing that, just say, it's okay, don't say sorry, and they can't, and then they keep trying, they're going to, what people in Alcoholics Anonymous call it, they're going to white knuckle it. They're going to just do it just by sheer willpower. You don't need cognitive behavioral therapy. You don't need what I call the standard Band-Aid therapy, where someone just gets you to talk about your feelings and encourages you to be happier, but doesn't know how to get underneath it all to find out why this is happening. Especially someone who doesn't understand that the answers or the solutions are going to be connected to either unexpressed, disassociated childhood trauma. And if you want to know more about this type of therapy, this type of treatment program, I encourage you to check out my self-love recovery treatment program, otherwise known as the Codependency Cure. I have full-length seminar videos, which are different from the ones on YouTube, that give a great deal of information about what it is, what it's not, how to solve it, and all sorts of other information that I believe will be helpful to you. So please, if you are a person that is a loved one who has a friend who does this, encourage them in the most empathetic and feeling way, non-judgmental, to get help, and showing them through example that they can be mad at you and nothing changes. So thank you for watching this video, and I appreciate you guys following me. And if you want more information, please check out my selfloverecovery.com website, or Self-Love Recovery Institute. Be well and take care. Bye-bye.